Go get the doctor. The patient is awake. Right away. Soon the doctor arrived in the room. Can you hear me? Yeah, I, I can hear you. Where am I? And what happened? Do you know who you are? Yeah, my name is Cyrus. That's good. What is the last thing you remember? Asked the doctor. I. Cyrus was still in a very much in a half sleep kind of daze, as he trying to remember what happened to him. He had at first no idea why when he was in a hospital, but then pieces of memory started flowing back to him. I was in a car driving along the street as normal, and, and then everything went complete black. Like, I don't know what happened, and then I woke up here. Anything else? The doctor asked. Uh, Not really, except that I wasn't alone in the car. My my girlfriend, Jordan, was sitting next to me in the passenger seat, and then something hit him. Jordan! Wait, is Jordan okay? He started to acting more alert. Calm down, calm down. You were in a car accident a few days ago. What? What happened? The doctor then explained that a few days ago, Cyrus was in on a car ride with his girlfriend, Jordan. They were just on a car ride together when suddenly there was a car that impacted with Cyrus' car. The impact hit the passenger seat, and then he remembers. Jordan was sitting on the passenger seat. Please, just tell me, is Jordan okay? He was panicking. He was desperate to know if his girlfriend Jordan had managed to survive despite the impact. The doctor and the nurse was quiet. No, no, it can't be. Cyrus started to realize when the doctor didn't even give him much an answer, when it was just silence, he knew she didn't make it. Please tell me, did she suffer? No, she didn't suffer at all, the doctor said. She died under the impact, so it was an instant. Cyrus was happy, at least that she didn't suffer from any pain, and that at least good thing about it. But then he couldn't believe it. But how was I even asleep? No, you were in a coma for a few days due to the accident. I, and then he started crying. The doctor said that he can leave him alone if he needs some time to get to process all this. Cyrus didn't say anything, only nodded. Then the doctor said that he will inform his family that he was awake. The next day, Cyrus' parents showed up. Cyrus, you're awake, his mom said. We were so worried about your son. Are you okay? Cyrus just nodded and said that he was fine, except that he had still a bit of headache after the accident and some pain in his body. But the most pain was something that they couldn't even give much for. That was the heartbreak. His parents had already been aware that of Jordan's passing. After that his parents had left, Jordan's parents showed up. they never even blamed Cyrus for any of this on the accident. He asked them if they knew what happened, at least the driver, how the accident happened, because he couldn't bring himself to ask the doctor or his own parents. But since he was very close to Jordan's family, they told him that it was a drunk driver and that he was just they were in this intersection and the car that the driver drove was in a high speed, and it was just that it was so instant. After that information, Cyrus was still heartbroken. Even his best friend Tobias came to see him in the hospital. Hey, I'm so sorry about Jordan. Thanks, man. I I can't still believe it. It's like a dream, like an ending nightmare dream. Yeah. I wish it could have been me. Dude, don't ever say like that again. Why? Even if she did survive and you died, the same thing as would have been for her, you know? She would have felt the exact same thing as you do feel for her loss. Cyrus realized that his best friend had a point. No matter if he had died and that Jordan had survived, she would have felt the exact same thing. After after about a week or so, he was able to leave the hospital. But since he was 20 years old and he wasn't in college, he spent most of his time in his room just laying in bed staring at the ceiling. He still had a photo of him and Jordan on the desk next to his bed. He looked at it, and he even looked at some videos about of him and Jordan having some fun. And he couldn't actually bring himself to go to her funeral. Even though his parents and Jordan's parents had a complete understanding that this heartbreak was really affecting him so much. Even some of his other friends from high school, who was both close to him and Jordan, said that maybe not going to the funeral would only make it a bit worse for him. So seeing her in the coffin like lifeless would only bring so much more pain to him. But that was not only one of the reasons that he didn't go. It was not like he wasn't like invited or anything. He just didn't want to go. He just he couldn't just not accept it that she was gone. He still denied it somehow in his heart that she isn't dead, that this was just a nightmare, that he was still stuck in a dream. But after about almost 2 weeks after her passing, after her funeral, Cyrus actually went over to the cemetery to put some flowers and trying to move on, but it wasn't easy. As he's standing there by her grave, seeing all the flowers from other friends and relatives of hers, she was really devastated. It was a devastating effect on him. Not only affecting him emotionally, but also mentally. He barely had any sleep anymore. For the past 2 weeks, he had barely get much sleep because he is reliving his accident every single night. Every time when he's in a dream, he is completely aware of what's going to happen. He's trying to avoiding this by driving in different directions or stop before the accident happened. But something else happened that led her to dying, and that he ended up being just hurt. He could not even stand anymore. So when he was standing by her grave, he was crying. Jordan, I I cannot even imagine your life without me. I mean, I can't even imagine your without you in my life. We had, we talked all about kinds of things we wanted to do in our future. You know, getting married, start a family together. It was just, and now this, it's painful. After that, he actually put the flowers and went home. But when he did arrive back home, his parents were home. They were sitting in the living room talking. Cyrus, can we talk to you for a moment? Yeah, what is it, Dad? We have noticed that you haven't been feeling much well lately. I mean, are you kidding me, Dad? Is that the way to say? Listen, Cyrus. We understand what you're going through, okay? Just listen. We had decided to do something about this. If you want me to go to therapy, forget it, Dad. No, not therapy. We had decided to send you away. Away to see your Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke? You may not know this, but your uncle went through something similar as you did. Wait, he did? Sit. I'll explain. Uncle Luke is his dad's younger brother who lived in a different state. Turns out that when his Uncle Luke was around his age many years ago, he had a fiancée and they were only about a couple of weeks away from getting married when she was out swimming with some few friends at the local beach. Something happened. She drowned by an accident. And Uncle Luke, he felt devastated, especially when it was so close to up on their wedding. So everything they had planned for, the marriage, future life together, we get start a family and all, it was more devastating. But they made the things a lot more worse. The thing is, you see, your Uncle Luke, he did learn something about his fiancée when after she had passed in that by drowning. Turns out she was pregnant. What? You never told me that. No, not many in the family knows about it. Only my parents and my brother and, of course, his ex-fiance's parents knows about it. That's it. It's not like I said secret guard a family secret or anything. It's just they choose to keep as much for themselves and not to tell others to, you know, bring up more trauma and all. How how far along was Uncle Uncle Luke's fiancée at the time though? She were about almost 2 months in. I cannot even imagine. Yeah, your uncle took it very hard. He barely slept. Was this around when he was in high school? No, he was about 21 or 22 at the time when it happened. He he only got help from your grandparents, especially your grandfather. He he took him out camping, hoping that maybe that could help him to move on. So we are decided to send you to Uncle Luke to live with him for a while, hoping this could, recover from the loss and all. And his mom said, I mean, it's either that or if you want to go to therapy, but it's the only way to have been helping you. Cyrus realized his parents was right, and hearing the story about his uncle's loss years earlier, he agreed. After that, he went to stay with his uncle Luke for a while. He thought maybe that the new scenery and especially the nature was helping, since his uncle Luke lived in a big, medium-sized city, but he lived more on the outskirts, near more, a little bit on the more suburbs part. There were more nature in the area. They often took hikes together in the wood, in the wild, in the nature, or went fishing. Slowly, slowly, by bit, for by each day, Cyrus did recover. After he was there for about a week or so, he decided it was time to go home. And when he did return home, he was actually still hurt, but at least had partially moved on. But there was still much hurt in his heart. And even though his best friend Tobias had one day just suggested that they go bowling, this is something that they both very much enjoyed to do. But this time, Tobias invited another person. It was a girl. There was a girl that who was a friend of both of them. Her name is Emmy. Emmy was a really nice, outgoing girl, kind of like Jordan. Even at the time, Cyrus didn't even have much thought of going back into the dating scene or anything. And of course, Tobias and Emmy knew about it. But after slowly recovering from the loss, about a year had passed since it all happened. And then, one day, Emmy confessed to Cyrus. At first, Cyrus had a bit hard to accept this confession, even though it had been a whole year since Jordan's past. But he said that he would give it much a thought about it. He just wanted to think about it before giving her an answer. And Emmy did understand and respected that. That night, Cyrus had a dream, and Jordan appeared in it. It was like she was aware of what's been happening in the real life. They had a conversation. They were actually sitting on the beach on a log, just talking. And when he mentioned that Emmy, who was also a friend of Jordan, that she confessed to him. But he wasn't sure if he was ready to start moving on to a new relationship, even though it had been a year since Jordan's passed away due to the accident. Jordan just put her hand on his shoulder and said, "You are ready." But I don't even know if I am. Listen to your heart. Listen. Then he closed his eyes and did somehow listen. What is the heart saying? It's like, it's time. It's time to move on. You want happiness. It's, and that was the heart saying. I can't be there for you anymore. I know that you still love me as much, and I will always be in your heart and your memory. You need to move on, Cyrus. There's nothing else I can do for you other than just be in your heart. I know I will never be the same without you. And he nodded and he cried, and they somehow hugged each other. And after that, she said with a smile with tears, I will always be there. Always. Remember that. And then suddenly she slowly faded away, and then he woke up. He was crying, but he knew that Jordan in his dream was right. It was time to move on and hoping for the better future. And this time he decided to make sure that he won't lose another someone special. Because only about a couple of days after this dream, he realized he did in fact have feelings for Emmy. So he called her and said that he wanted to be with her, that he decided to give her the answer as a yes. They started dating. Tobias was really thrilled for his best friend to have finally moved on, to have found his special someone. Even though it were still times that he cried in his sleep about for the loss of Jordan. But even his parents had also tried telling him that maybe Jordan came to him in his dream to telling him to stop mourning about her and just simply move on. Even though he did tell them that it wasn't easy to just move on so simply, because his love for Jordan will always be the strongest as before, but he loves Emmy equally as much as he loves Jordan. From time to time, Cyrus visits the cemetery either by himself or sometimes with Emmy to pay respect to Jordan. Every day, ever since then, they usually try their best to move on together. Despite the so many setbacks for him and also try to move on, it wasn't really much easy for that. But he was willing to give his relationship with Emmy a chance. And after they had been dating for about almost 2 years, he took Emmy to the to a part of town that had a great view. And he took her there during the evening so they could see the city lights sparkling in the night sky. And it was during the summer, and as they just sat there in silence, they were just enjoying the view and just having a good time when he decided to simply say, Emmy, I know that this may not be the thing I wanted to say, but what is it? You know how much I love you. Yeah. I He couldn't somehow even bring out the word, but then he said, you have been there for me so much. Not only you, but my best friend Tobias has been there for me. My family, Jordan's family, have been there to help me to move on. But I think it's time to simply end this relationship. Emmy was scared. What what do you mean? Are you just gonna leave? No. Our relationship won't be the same because I want to marry you. He was simply proposing to Emmy. So, you're not breaking up? No, of course not. What I meant is that our relationship won't be the same since when we are married, it's a whole new different level in relationship. She started crying and said yes, that she wanted to marry him. And that same evening when they came home, they actually told not only his parents, her family, Tobias, and of course, even after this has been since it's been 3 years now since the loss of Jordan. He was still in a very much close relationship with her family still. He texted them that saying he had just proposed to Emmy. And Jordan's parents, especially Jordan's mom, was really happy. He was inviting them to the wedding. Some people may think that was kind of strange to inviting his ex-girlfriend's parents to his new fiance's his wedding. But he just told them simply, they are not just only my ex-parents. They are part of my family. Even though we're not like related anyway, but they're like my family. I have known them for a long time. and I'm not cutting ties with them whatsoever. And they decide to have a small wedding in either at the park. Tobias was, of course, asked to be his best friend. Emmy had asked her oldest sister to be a maid of honor. The wedding itself went perfectly well, and even afterwards, at a small wedding reception they had, everyone was just having a good time. Emmy's family welcomed Cyrus as part of her family, and his family did the same thing for Emmy. Later, they actually went to a town over for the honeymoon for about the weekend. And ever since that day, they were just happy to be together. And about 2 years after they got married, they had a son, which they named Colin. And about 2 years later, after that, they had a daughter, but the word is a bit hard to figure out what to name her. They thought maybe name her Jordan, but some people thought it was kind of a bit extra weird to naming their daughter after Cyrus X. So they decided to name her Allie. Even after all this time, the love that he had for Jordan is still much strong in his heart. But he was happy to have moved on. If he had even done that, he would even have met his true love within Emmy. She even at some point confessed that when she heard that he that she thought he was ending their relationship when he was proposing, and that he literally were meant they were no longer to be together. He laughed and said, "I was never going to do that. I love you." And that happened to be the best thing happened to both. Even it happened that Emmy also missed Jordan. Ever since her wedding and after since her children was born, sometimes she go to visit her friend's grave just to talk or telling her what's been happening. Because she just want to have her friend somehow to be updated about what's been happening for the past few years after her friend passed away. Cyrus himself do this sometimes too. And this is how Cyrus and Emmy found a true love and got a big family together. The